Right,
Cool.
there we are. We should be
Friday was a
on.
bit of a day on the footsie ball. Look at it.
Oh, it was a good day, mate. Yes, yes, had a good time Friday.
Good man.
I was late, so I have to say I was very, very late on the run to the downside, but it was such a strong move that it
Kind of what you've
wasn't
been
too.
waiting for, hey?
Uh, yeah, to be honest, I went long initially. I went long, and then I got taken out on the short, but then I went short here, which was
Hmm.
late. It was late, but it was such a good move that it made up for the long and some. Um,
Absolutely.
and now I'm looking for the short again, but I'd like to see us into either the daily pivot or ideally the weekly pivot. There's a few reasons that I'm a little bit hesitant just about the daily pivot, but I might split my trade up a little bit here. But there's a trend line coming down here, which currently would meet the weekly pivot, but it would have to get up in the first hour, which I would thought is quite unlikely. But the daily pivot pause really does kind of like give its own issues because it's got a few hours really to get beyond the daily pivots and maybe get trapped on the trend line. Now the trend line might be just a bit higher around there, which does actually give a little bit longer before we would have to consider the weekly pivot as our confluence area. And I've also pulled up a fib on this as well, and the fib kind of suggests that the weekly pivot is the area of choice. So it could be that we're looking at this for our short, which is 50 pips away from where we are now. But what I'm thinking of doing now, I don't like this fib down here. It's kind of it's got no confluence there. It might not come up to either, of course, but if we are to push higher here, this weekly pivot, it does look like the ideal spot. And actually, what I was considering doing is putting a fraction of a trade on here and then putting the next one up on here. But looking at this, the weekly pivot looks like the standout winner because we've got the price point here. We obviously got the weekly pivot. We've now got the fib and we've got the trend line. So the first few hours look fairly quiet to me, in as much that I probably won't be trading. There may well be a reaction, but I wouldn't be surprised if we come down here. If we are to come down, we come down and bounce rather than come down and go through. So I might even consider a long down here, mate. In fact, I will consider the long down there. So I might,
Hmm.
if it comes down, I think I'll take a long off the monthly pivot, and then see if I can use that long to get into a free short, and then I'll use the price point or the weekly pivot as my short area. If it goes up, then I don't need to worry. I won't be doing two trades. It would just be the one. I won't do a little ping pong. I'll just do the downside move there. But my preference would be for my preference would be for it to just to pop up, even though it would be nice to get a free short in the on the table. It would be just a lot cleaner, just to take one trade and just be able to take the short off the weekly pivot. But it doesn't actually look to me like it's going to shape up in this session, mate. I think it's much more likely that we get this in the US session. But the long from here may well set up here, so I'll have a look and see what's going on. Good morning, Crystal, Emmanuel, and Sweet. How are you guys doing? So that's where I am at, mate. I suppose you might want to place the pound trade, and we'll see what we get price action wise out of the FTSE.
Right, bud. Let's do that, and fingers crossed that we can actually get a nice connection here today. Very poor last night in the Sunday show, I can assure you. I've got my fingers and toes crossed. It also helps me count to 19. Righto, here we go. Pound US dollar, and we're out of the blocks. The entry is 131.12. Sorry, 13. 131.13 for the long. I just got that to change to 131.13. May not get into this, but we'll see. Stop loss for the long will be below that bar there at I've got to work this out now because I've changed everything since Kumar did this. Price for Hoskins 131.12. That's right. Stop loss for buy will be 130.64. That's right. But it looks like we've missed the. Well, I've missed the entry. But we might get it back yet. 130.64. And TP1 will be at half of the master candle because I think that's going to come before the first resistance, which is pretty much here. So half of the master candle will be 131.12 to 64, 36, 48 to 24 pips, which will be 131.37. Okay, there's no need to write short in because the long is already done. And if it goes through TP1, I certainly won't be, I'll be just cancelling that order anyway. But it's, have I got those levels wrong? 131.37 is way up the top there. Why is this not working? Entry there. Stop loss there. So 20 pips should be 10 pips. Right. Sorry, guys. TP1 should be 131.23. That now makes sense. When Kumar comes back, he'll fix the EA so that it actually works for the new way that we're trading this. So if that gets to 131.23, I will cancel the order. But in the meantime, it is still there. So it's a buy limit order at the moment. But if it goes through 131.23, there won't be a trade from me. And that looks entirely likely at this point. And I certainly wouldn't want to be trading through this level without taking profit anyway. So it's a genuine. And as I said, I've really just applied the slingshot system to this this particular breakout strategy. And it's getting pretty close to 131.23. And if it goes through it, there is no trade. Righto. So that's that for today. TP1, as I said, the new system, those of you who haven't seen what I'm doing these days, we're entering long above the highest bar of the three range or three candle range prior to London session. And our stop loss will go below that candle. So it'll be rounded up by 1 pip, both sides. And for the short, we'll be trading the candle that is the lowest candle, which is this one. Entry below it, again, rounding down by 1 pip. Stop loss above it, again, rounding up by 1 pip. And taking profit at either a strong or a resistance or support level, the most recent resistance or support level most likely. In this case, it's the weekly pivot. And if there is not room to take profit before the weekly pivot, then we won't take the order. So this is one of these tricky ones, 10 pips, and you haven't got 5 pips, you wouldn't be taking that trade. So we wouldn't be trading that short. So we're adding filters to keep us out of what I consider to be bad positions. So wouldn't be taking a short at all on this. Not that that's even relevant now because the long would have been triggered and I missed the entry. But it's still there, long's still there if it doesn't go to TP1. If it goes to TP1, there'll be no trade. I think that's clear, guys. Everybody should be on board with that. And if not, please ask and I'll go through it again with you. I know the new system is a little more complex than the previous one, but that's because we're now adding filters. And I deemed that necessary because we weren't getting the right results out of the other one. So, mate, there you go. That is the pound trade for the day. And as I say, I've missed the entry, and it now looks as though there won't be a trade today from my point of view. If somebody snuck in there and got it before.
Yeah, I see the
happy days.
interesting the pound here because I'm seeing it strengthen against the euro and the dollar, and I haven't looked at the others yet. See a little bit stronger against the Aussie, the CAD, the Swissy. Actually, pretty good across the board. The pound today.
Yeah, I had that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And
Kiwi
the
as
bugger
well?
of the thing, the euro pound that I was in is now out. That was a death by 1,000 cuts. I think we've been in that for more than a week, maybe 2 weeks even, and that's now gone. I haven't had a look at that in the recent hour or so. Where is it? Euro pound. I think it's down here somewhere. Here. It just took us out, and now it's floundering again. Where it has been for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 days, really, at the end of the day. So yeah, we're out of that one now, and everything else is still going strong. Pound Kiwi should still be motoring, and is. Where are we now? 20047. So we're 720 pips to the good on that one. Pound Aussie. Yeah, that's floundering a little bit, but I haven't got the buy level on that. But we are about 150 last time I had a look at that. To the good on that one. EuroCADs. EuroCAD's interesting bar today where we gapped down and have closed that gap very, very quickly, of course. Now I'm looking for this to continue to the downside. But yeah, interesting bar on Friday. Obviously, that's just stone cold, rock solid, that bar, isn't it? That's telling you everything you need to buy. There's only buyers about when you see something like that. But today looks to be maybe a little bit different. We'll see how that pans out. Both of these orders are at break even, having taken profit twice. So they're both doing well. They're both winners no matter what anyway. So net result is still pretty good. But that euro pound has now, as I say, capitulated into nothingness. The rotten sod.
Yeah, I think it does look like I mean the pound's strength. I mean that does suggest as well some further footsie weakness. Haven't got up to that weekly pivot, unfortunately, so it might still get there. It's just struggling a little bit, but we can grab the screen a little bit before
mate.
We continue on with that pound. Oops. Emmanuel, yes, I did. It wasn't a very good setup. I was calling for a FTSE short. It wasn't a particularly good setup, but I did manage to get a trade in the FTSE.
The good news, I haven't dropped out yet, mate. Should I have said that?
Yeah, that is a good thing, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe a shade surprising.
If you were in last night, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It was
really? You were in and out a lot, were you?
No, it was terrible.
Okay. Yeah, I need it up here. The FTSE needs to get up here for me to short. But yeah, I did get in. I took the trade on Friday. But when you sort of like get a move like we did get on Friday, then it makes it difficult not to take the profit. And when it comes down as much as it did, which was what's that, 150? So it was almost 2.5%, and a 2.5% day is just something that shouldn't be refused for profit, because the FTSE it just doesn't tend to move in those kind of movements without some retracement. So this really is something that is well worth everybody understanding and looking at as well. And you can look at it from your average true range. When you look to take a trade in anything, understanding the average true range of the way that particular stock or commodity or currency moves is really important for you making decisions. Now, take profit areas really should be soft areas. You know, we shouldn't really sort of like have hard areas where we're taking profit, unless we can't monitor the trade, which is you know, something that not everybody can do. Not everybody has the luxury or the want or wherewithal to be able to sit in front of charts, and have the time to sit in front of charts and monitor trades. So sometimes you have to sort of like have a take profit area. And also the other thing is, if your strategy dictates that it's the best way to trade that strategy, then that's another reason that you would have a take profit area. But when it comes down to I suppose it's more the way I trade. Actually, it's not to say you shouldn't have you know, hard areas, because of, you know, every strategy is different. But if you consider if you consider a potential way to approach the market as have your take profit area, and watch that just in case it goes right the way through it, then you know, you've got the opportunity to let the trade run for a little while longer. So you might need to give it not long, but 5 to 10 minutes, just to see whether you've picked a correct area that there could be some resistance or support. Then that's well worth considering. You know, that you got your soft targets. But one thing that should always be kind of everybody should be mindful of is knowing what's the general range of the strategy's time frame that you're trading. Because if the general range is 60 pips and the market has gone 70, there's a high probability or higher probability that you're going to get, you know, that the market is going to come back at you and start wiping out your profit. So you can either move your stops to the 60 area if it goes through, you know, to 70, or you consider closing down and seeing if you can get another run if the market does come back up again. So yeah, so really important to know that. But yeah, with a move like we had on the FTSE, which, as I say, was about 2.5% in a day, then there is a high chance that the FTSE is going to at least settle down and give us another opportunity. Now, that opportunity may have arisen, I don't know, but we didn't quite get to the weekly pivot, so I'm still going to wait on that and see if that occurs later on down the line, see if we can get our short on. Things are a little bit sticky out there, but the FTSE is in a tricky area, because even though now it is looking very, very weak currently, but even though we have this going on with the FTSE, when you look at this on a daily, really this is it's still in a range. You know, we're still kind of caught in this range here. This is the lower band of our range, probably down there actually. So we just got this box range going on. We hit the top of the range and it looks like we might well be coming down to the bottom of the range. However, as part of that, we've also got that as a small kind of trend within a range. You know, we've got kind of like this range going on here, but we do have, I suppose this was a little trend within the range here as that came down. Then we've come up, and then now we've got this going on. So that looks like a higher low there. And that higher low might well see us back to the top of the range at least, and possibly beyond. So technically speaking, the FTSE's a little bit tricky to read because it's in this range. And it might be that, you know, we need to wait for it to really truly break out the range before it becomes quite as easy to trade. But this area does look like it might well form some sort of support area. And it wouldn't be so hard to analyze if the other markets were behaving in a way that was clear, but they're really not. And when we come and have a look at things like the S&P, the S&P is near, not quite there, but it's very, very near its all-time high level. Now, it didn't quite get there on Friday. I think it was getting close, but it didn't quite get there Friday. So that's got a tiny bit of room to see those all-time highs before potentially coming down. Might not get there. And looking at the Dow, the Dow's looks to me like the Dow's area of resistance, and this is on a weekly chart. The Dow's area of resistance is probably around about the 28,200, which is also a little bit higher. Now we know that markets don't always get quite to their point, because especially within on a weekly chart, so then it's you could give up a couple of pips before failing. So both the Dow and the S&P aren't quite there, but they are looking like they could actually start to turn over a little bit. Nasdaq difficult to ascertain where it's going to go because of the fact that it's already taken out some all-time highs. If you were checking out fibs, then really, whoops, that's the wrong way around. Oh no, that's not that. Yeah, that's probably got a little bit what before. There's a little bit of projection there on the fib. Takes us up to 11,676. Difficult one to ascertain where that's going to go. And the VIX as well. If you guys bring up a chart of the VIX, and you can probably do that on TradingView. You've got TradingView, haven't you, Jeff?
Oh, I have, mate.
have.
But I
Has it
haven't
got-
got. I'm not going to open anything at the moment, so I haven't got it.
Okay, no problem. All right. Well,
Actually, I've got it on another computer. What are you looking for?
just the VIX, just a chart of the VIX.
Oh, the VIX. Okay.
Yeah, which was quite interesting on Friday because the VIX took a huge spike to the upside as we closed out the day. Really, right at the end of the day, it took a huge spike to the upside. So certainly some suggestions that the market's under a little bit of stress here. And you can see with the FTSE first. I mean, the other thing with the FTSE, of course, is that look at this weekly bar. The weekly bar is also suggesting that there could be some stress up here as well. So the FTSE could be under, in some problem. It could be under some stress here. But whether that ends up really unfolding is difficult to know. The deal from Capitol Hill hasn't come, and that probably will put markets under some sort of stress. But how it unfolds fully is difficult to know. Now let me just get to some of these questions here. All right, what we got here? So, do you get a setup short for FTSE? The setup was pretty bad, but yeah. Ocado. Oh, sorry, OCO trade last Friday was a good one. Is that yours, Jeff? Must be.
What was that, man?
The OCO. Oh no, Friday. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was that that must be the pound trade on Friday? Must have been a good. Would have ended up being a good one.
Yeah, don't know, mate. Wasn't trading Friday.
Not trading Friday, no. You caught the short last Friday at 61.55 aftermarket, announced big sell-off on EasyJet. Well done, mate. That's brilliant. Jeff. Yeah, but actually the travel stocks really did suffer last week, didn't they? Really did suffer last week. Now I'm not too keen on that sell-off on EasyJet. I've got some EasyJet shares that I want that to go up. So we got stop loss, try to not successful. Okay, there's some good stuff going on with the cryptos there. Some any thought on some CAD pairs feeling up for a short? I know you tried to analyze some last year.
If you want to have a look, by all means, mate, and I'll have a look when I have my turn.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay, we'll have a look at those. Just there's some chat about that. I'm just catching up with these questions. So I understand this. If you can get back some time when you have time, why is your pound? Okay, might have to deal with that one in a moment.
Yep,
Jeff, did you manage to scale into your pound Kiwi?
No, unfortunately not.
Ah, yeah, third Monday of the month. You're absolutely right. So we should be looking for a long in our S&P today.
How's that going?
Yep. Long in the S&P today, buying at the open. Well, so far the S&P is very, very slightly higher. So yeah, that would be okay at the minute. Right, CAD. The CAD now.
Yeah, I'm still in love with with EuroCAD. I love
Yep.
that big double top sitting there on the weekly chart.
Aussie CAD's come through that area. Yeah, EuroCAD looks good, doesn't it? EuroCAD does look good. Now I read something the other day that was saying that some of these oil companies are not even sure that they're gonna mine some of the oil out of the ground. Dollar CAD.
They're not sure, did you say?
Yeah, they're not even sure they're going to bring it out of the ground. Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Kiwi CAD.
That should put the price up.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think it was more maybe a comment on the fact that they're not seeing the value of mining. Yeah. Now that. You see, the Kiwi CAD would be, if we're looking at short CAD, the Kiwi CAD. Now, I don't like this area here particularly, but the Kiwi CAD.
I'm not looking at short CAD. I'm looking at long CAD.
Ah, you're looking at the long. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
I'm the only one on the planet, it seems, but yeah, that's okay by me.
Yeah, you might be. Well, yeah, let's have a look what you're looking at, mate. I mean, this is the first time I'm opening up a CAD chart for a long time.
All right, let's do that. I'm starting to get confident that we've got a signal we can use here. That's good. So the reason we started short on EuroCAD in the first place was because of the level that we were at. So if you have, I'm on the monthly chart here, and I could go back even further, but how many times has this level been rejected? Around about the 160 mark. And I did like that we came off that again. And on the smaller time frames, we got into this. And as I said, we got into it twice. Obviously, it's come back at us now, and that's no great surprise. And I guess that's what everyone's looking at the moment. And that bar there does seem to be a massive rejection of the weekly pivot. In fact, it doesn't seem to be. It is a massive rejection of the weekly pivot on, the monthly pivot on the weekly chart. However, that doesn't mean that these two rabbit ears, as I call them, have been taken out of play. They haven't. That is a massive double top sitting there. And I think I said to you guys many moons ago on pound Aussie, was it, as I recall, when I see something like that, that's the weekly chart there again. Again, a very, very clean and clear double top, or tweezer top in that case. Sitting at that level, I can't just pull it. There it is there. So as soon as we see that, what we're looking for is a lower high, and we got it perfectly there. That's exactly what I'm looking for at the moment on EuroCAD. Now, where is it gone there? Weekly chart. So we haven't had that yet. And I guess that's probably on the cards now, that we're getting a bounce off the monthly pivot. And that's why we've taken profit before the monthly pivot, right? That's why we've taken profit twice before the monthly pivot. We expect that there'll be a bounce here. Now, if it doesn't bounce and give us the lower high, then we're still in two trades going short, which is a good thing, obviously. So either way, we've got this in our sights, and I'm more than pleased to be in the two positions at the moment. If it does break through the monthly pivot, there's a whole lot of profit available here on EuroCAD, in my humble opinion. There's probably a conservative level that we'd be looking at. But if this turns from a rabbit ears into a Batman mask, which will look like this, and I'm sure you can probably understand where I'm coming from with the Batman mask, we'll come down to here. And you go da 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 da. Sorry, can't help myself sometimes, but that to me is super clear. It may not happen, but it's a super clear possibility. So that's why I'll be looking to continue that particular scenario. So even if we come up to here and put in the lower high that I'm looking for, that'd be another beautiful entry. So you know, we're in a winning position now. We can't lose on these trades. But if we come back beyond our stop losses, our trailing stop, which is at entry, both are at entry, then we'll be looking for this, and then we go short. So either is possible right now, but I'm dead set on board with that and waiting for it to happen. So that's EuroCAD. At the moment, I am also a little bit bearish the Aussie. And again, I think I'm the only person on the planet, well, certainly in our organisation, who is that way inclined. So let's go to Aussie CAD. And here's what I see on Aussie CAD. I see a big left shoulder. I see a head and a bearish engulfing bar question mark. Then I see 3 black crows. And then I see a break of the neckline of the head and shoulders, and now a retest of the neckline of the head and shoulders. So if I wake up in the morning and I can see this candle pretty much exactly as it is, I will most definitely place a short order underneath that and put my stop loss just above the monthly pivot. So those two in particular are of pretty strong interest to me. The other one you asked about was CAD Swiss, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Now, that's a little bit different. There was a nice candle there on CAD Swiss a few hours ago. What am I on, 4-hour chart? Yeah. But because it's a white-bodied candle, there's no way I'd be trading that long pursuant to my little strategy that I have. But what I would be looking for is the current price, which is sitting underneath this trade line, and the daily pivot. I'd like to see a bounce off both the monthly and weekly pivot, which we are currently sitting on right here. And if we got back above here and retested the confluence of daily pivot and trade line, then I would definitely be looking to trade that long. So absolutely nothing has changed my mind that the CAD is in a better position than those 3 other currencies, the Swissy, the Aussie, and what was the first one I went through, the Euro. Now, relative strength at the moment will kind of agree and kind of argue with that because it keeps changing and chopping around a little bit at the moment. But that hasn't changed the charts for me. The charts don't lie to me, and they're telling me that there's a potential for this to be a false break of resistance and a bounce off the monthly and weekly pivot. So I've got to be looking at that. So they're the 3 that I'm really interested in, Emmanuel, at the moment. I think it was Emmanuel who asked the question about the CAD pairs. Yes, it was. Euro CAD, pound CAD, I haven't had a look at. Pound CAD, let me have a look at that. Well, of course, I'm a bull pound, so why wouldn't I be looking at pound CAD long? Because I'm CAD bullish, I suppose. But let me analyze the chart. And the chart, very, very similar, I suppose, to EuroCAD, but not as strong as the levels on EuroCAD. Well, I don't believe they're as strong. No, they're not. You remember the EuroCAD's got big rejections of that high. Yes, we've got rejections of a level, but certainly not as strong as the Euro. Because we're coming off the top here, I suppose I'd be looking for a short. But do I see anything that excites me at the moment? I know that's the monthly chart, so we'll be looking to trade that mostly anyway. But clearly we're looking for a lower high here at some stage, and perhaps we've got that already. Again, we've got this little bit of a potential bounce off the monthly pivot. I'd like to see that happen and maybe get a lower high. On daily charts, again, there's no setup for me there. 4-hour chart. Still no setup. Trade line, though, I do have. And that trade line probably comes through there. Okay, so that's giving me a little bit of an approach and pullback, couple of shots over the bow. Maybe that this has got a little bit of long in it. Maybe. If it comes above these levels, it's a bit messy for me, to be honest. I'm not that enthused, but let me just go a little bit wider and see if we've got something coming across here, and we do. So I think there's maybe a little bit left in this one. So if we use that and that, That's no good. But if we use that and that, look what I see. I see a break below the monthly pivot and the trend line, or trade line rather, then a double pump, then a big rally above the trade line and above the monthly pivot, and then a retest of the monthly pivot, and the trade line telling me that this is potential false break. I'm almost tempted to trade that. Let me see what I've got. Entry there. To be fair, you've probably got to get your stop under here. 90 odd pips, DR1s, 15 away. That makes it tough. If you were to trade the candle, 50 pips for 15, it's still not so great. But gee, I see it pretty clearly actually. I think this has got potential to go long. I don't know how far, to be honest. There's a little hint of a channel running down there, and we're at the top of that as well. Yeah, okay, I see the setup, but I don't see the reward available here at the moment. So I'll be staying out of that one. Did I manage to scale in on pound Kiwi? Unfortunately, Emmanuel, no. I didn't get a setup that I liked. And the primary reason for that is because we haven't had a decent pullback, in my humble opinion. That pullback really needed to be here for me. I wanted to see it come back to the monthly pivot at this level. And again, you know, going along with the way I trade these things, if they're reversals, I'm looking to take profit here. I'm looking for a pullback to there, which we didn't quite get. Then I'm looking to take profit here, pretty much on that red line or thereabouts in that consolidation area. And I'm expecting that pullback to come to there still. It hasn't done that. So it's a little bit disappointing, as I said down here, that we haven't really had that retracement. It may well happen, of course. We're only on Monday. So if I see that, that'll be my scale-in point. But it didn't come back to me here far enough. And I'm just waiting on that to come back to me here to get into that. So that's pound Kiwi. Obviously, if I don't get into it, then we've still got a decent run here going. But I would like to add more into it, that's for sure. Alan, still don't understand the OCO. Okay. If you can get back to me when you have time, what is your OCO trade stop? Why is it at that level? Okay. Let me show you pound US dollar. And we are now in that trade, of course. And it's looking sick, but yeah, long time to go. Right, why is my stop loss there? The reason is that I'm actually trading the candles now. I'm not trading the range as if it were, or as it were. Well, I'm still trading the top of the range, but I'm not going beyond the level of the candle. In other words, I'm not allowing that 15 pip gap that we had before. And for that reason, we have to tighten up our stops as well. So we're actually trading the bar. If we're going long, we're trading the long bar, or the bar that's got the highest high. If we're trading short, we're trading the bar that's got the lowest low. So the stop loss is simply trading the candle. So if it's breaking out, then I'm suggesting that our best course of action here is to trade the candle and take profit early, and then make ourselves safe as quickly as possible. So that's why the stop loss is going there. It may not be again, we're still trialing this, you know. It may not be the end result, and we may not stay there. It may work out that the stop loss is better going below the range rather than below the candle. And I totally get that. That's why we test these things, so that we actually get the right answers, or the answers that we need to know. Uniswap, is that the one I'm going to the moon on, Shukri? I thought it was something other than it was Fool Swap or something like that. Actually, Shukri, you're going to send us a link to the replay at some stage, I hope, because obviously I couldn't be there. I was in transit almost in my mind on Friday, trying to get ready to come to where I currently am, which is in a lovely retreat on the east coast of Tasmania, where it pissed down all weekend. Pardon my French. I think I've just about cleared all those questions. So the CAD pairs I've done. 130.64. Is that right? I believe so. Let me see. Wow. How did I get that number? I can't change it now, obviously. Jesus, what are we doing down here? Sorry, guys. Wow, that's so bad. So bad. The stop loss should have been 130.93. Man. Kuma, come back. You got to help me. Because he had this working for us, and now I've changed the parameters on him. When he comes back, I'll get him to change. So my apologies. The stop loss should not have been where it is. So I guess that's what you were saying, Alan, in the first instance, and I just didn't realise. My sincere apologies. And again, you really need to be not putting any decent money on these things. This is really still in ultra beta test mode. So I'm sorry for that stuff up. My bad entirely. It may work out to be the best. I don't know, but a slip up. I'm really sorry about that. Mate, should I have a look at some 30-minute candles or what I'm looking at this week? Or have you got to manage your trade?
No, you know, mate, there's not the FTSE's very volatile, but it's not going anywhere. It's caught in this range, and it's not the price I'd like. So I would like to wait a little while and see if it can establish itself in a direction. But it is caught in a bit of a wild range at the minute. Actually, not tradable.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll go to the pairs that are on my watch list this week, and I've probably spoken about a few of them. The first was EuroCAD. No real need to go back through that. And the reason is the reason I've just told you. This is just a super signal as far as I'm concerned. And it may take that lower high. In fact, I'd probably prefer it in many ways if we did get that lower high. Of course, I don't want to lose my stops, but they're break even. But if we do, well, how about a lower high here, just underneath our stop losses? That's probably better still. It doesn't have to come back up here, of course. Maybe even if we broke the monthly pivot and came back and retested that, that's perfectly acceptable and probably preferable, because then we get to stay in the trade. Let's even imagine that, shall we? Build it and they will come. Isn't that what I was told? And that level may well be there. So the bottom of this bar, let's just imagine for a moment that we get on the right side of the trading gods, and they bring us down to here underneath the monthly pivot, and then back to the monthly pivot and give us the lower high that we're looking for. And if that is the case, that's our definite first scaling point for this one. And then we get down to here, get below it, retest it. There's our second scaling point, and I probably don't want to know too much after that, because the Batman mask is then complete. He never smiles, does he? But he's got a little nose thing in there. Does it look like Batman? Not really. Don't think he's got gaps in his teeth either. But that's what I'm imagining, right? Yes, it's now confirmed. I am completely bonkers. But, really, that's exactly how I trade. I turn these things into little games, and if they match, then happy days. If they don't, then guess what? Lock me up, throw away the key. And that's pretty much that. But the other things on my watch list are Aussie CAD. We've been through that as well. Aussie Yen is the one that I wanted to have a good look at. So let's do that. Aussie Yen is there. Okay, Aussie Yen's got a very, very, very clear and pronounced ascending triangle here on the weekly chart. I'll just go a little bit tighter so we can see where that begins and ends. But I want to show you the circumstances, or the word I'm looking for escapes me. the context is what I'm looking for here. And the context is this, and it is the channel, of course, as always. With me, there's a shape that suggests to me there's a range in place, and this is the range. We're bouncing off the top, and then we're bouncing off the bottom, etc., etc., etc. So, have we come to the top is the big question, and the answer is probably not yet. So what I'm looking for, but we're at a very strong level as far as I'm concerned. We've got a big resistance area here, which drove the price down to Billio. And at the same time, it was a support area, which drove price from the bottom of our range to the top of our range over time. Yes, no question. So what I envisage here again is that we'll probably pop out of here and hit this level. And then what I'll be looking for is for price to come back underneath that level, which will be representative of, I believe, the top of our triangle rather, and maybe even this, the top of the range or channel, if you like, which is kind of a cloud of a price anyway, but that's what I'm envisioning. So I'd like price to get it maybe up and hit this area, then come back underneath it, retest it, and that then gives us the reason to trade this short. And if we do, then there's again a massive reward available for us here, and that's why I really like this position. And we're kind of there from a back into the range point of view, but I don't want to be. I really want to get higher and take out every single order that's above these levels here, and then come back underneath and retest. Then we go. Now, because it's an ascending channel, everybody will be thinking that this is going to break to the high side. And as I said, I hope it does, but I hope that break is proven to be false and we get a shot at this going short at some stage. But we've got to be patient, but that's pretty much what I'm seeing. And again, that's on the imagination level. The last one that's on my watch list this week is Swissy Yen. Now, Swissy Yen, we were calling long, I think, for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the reason was, if we go to the bigger time frame, that we had broken this level here with this bar, and then we'd force through that again. I'm on the monthly chart. This actually happened on the weekly, but you can't see it on the weekly because we're too tight. But we kept going. But now this level is pretty much there, or is it? And that's the question that I have to ask myself. Where is that level? Is it there, or is it pretty much where we're at? I'm kind of thinking it's there, around about 117.93. Let's call it 118. And currently we are about 80 pips or 70 pips below that level. So what we've got to imagine here is pretty similar to what I just said. I need this to break out a little bit higher. Let me go wider on the weekly chart. Yeah, it's hard. That's what I mean. I need it to break out a little bit higher and then come back underneath here, maybe even underneath the weekly pivot and give us a retest. But in the meantime, if you have a look at what's forming here on the 4-hour chart, there may well be a significant turnaround here well before I'm anticipating it. Left head, potential right. And if that were to form here, then that makes the game a little bit different. The issue that I'm going to have is I'm either going to have to trade the shoulder or I'm going to have to wait for the neckline break. The neckline break is going in exactly, or the neckline's going in exactly the opposite direction than I would like it to, unless you use the horizontal level and come through there, which I suppose is okay, but it's not the way I trade. It's going to be terribly awkward if I wait for a break and then a retest. It'll be nice, but gee whiz, going to miss a few pips as well. So maybe I'll be looking for a setup here on the smaller time frames to trade this short back down to that level in the first instance, I suppose, and then maybe look for that break and retest of that neckline if it were to take place. But I've turned from bull to bear on pound yen because I think that level that I just pointed out to you is very, very, very strong, as you can see, here, 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 and now here perhaps. So I can see this, and you know, it's basically a range trade going back 5 years into the range. we're trading off the top of a range and looking for the bottom, and that's Swissy yen. Really, mate, that's my watch list for the week at this point. And at the moment, we're just riding EuroCAD. We're still in that, and the pound pairs at the moment as well. But there's really nothing to do at this point until we get those little breakouts to the top on those Swissy pairs I just mentioned, and then hopefully come back into our ranges, and we'll look for a trade, but not just yet.
Yeah, well, all I've got is, I mean, there's a potential long here on the FTSE, but it will be a smash and grab really on the FTSE. We just see this on a 5-minute chart here. Not very clear, not very nice to look at, but you can see that the pretty wild price action going on, but quite like this for a potential long. Let's see if this is worth it. It might be. Let's just take a little long here. And it will say this is going to be a bit of a smash and grab. Now, if it comes under this price here, I'll probably take it off, but might just aim just for the highs here. So, as I say, just a quick in and out, I think, and it might even be along there. Now, stops are, so I've taken it at price 61s. Stops are just down here at 60.86. And I think I'll just smash and grab it up here. See if we can get be slightly better than a 1-to-1. So if you want to trade this, I'll print up the prices and see if you can get in. So it's a FTSE long. And I actually did get 60.99. 60.99. And stop loss is just at the low of that candle there. So 60.86. Now we are right on bashing our head on the range here. So this may well, and it's likely to fail, but it's not a tight range. So sorry, it's not a big range to try and trade. So we'll see what we got. And then just to take profit, and it will be a hard target, this one, because as I said earlier, that the strategy really dictates what we're going to do, and it might go a little bit further. It might might actually get up to that weekly pivot eventually, but the strategy is just going to, in this case, is going to dictate that. I just don't know whether we're going to get much of a breakout, but let's see if we can get some money in the bank early on a Monday. 61.17 is our take profit here. And see if that goes. It may well just stop inside. Now, if that was to happen, yeah, that'd still be better than a 1-to-1. So if that's to happen, then no big deal. Let's just have a look at the pips up there. If it starts to kind of fail there, then I'm not going to worry about sort of like grabbing the extra 2. But as I say, it's not very likely to work out, this trade, because we are kind of still within this box, and we haven't broken through it. So this is really trading the actual breakout in some respects, but it looks okay for a potential breakout here. Now, if it does get up here, it's still likely to come back and test, so it's still worth taking profit there. Even if it was to go to the moon from that point. One of those things, isn't it, that we always say that there's nothing better than putting money in the bank. So let's see if we can get some money in the bank to start with, and then see what happens from there. But I don't really trust it going too much further, and that's not to say that it won't, but I wonder whether we're just aiming for something very, very small here initially, because when you look at this on kind of broader time frames, then we do see that there is that stress level up the top, and it might be there, which is going to be very close to our trend line. And let's change this actually to, let's change it to the one with pivots here. See, the pivot might just cage it in. This pivot's likely to cage it in. Yeah, that's a little bit further, so it could get up to that point, another 16 pips. But So I'm going to be comfortable with that if we can just get a smash and grab. I just think that we've got a difficult day's worth of trading ahead of us, and I'm okay to be wrong if we don't, but we get profit. So I'm quite happy just to see if we can get something out of this, mate. But there we go. There's the little smash and grab trade. See if we can get something. If we can, we can. If we can't, then we will live to fight another day. Nice and tight anyway. If we do get taken out, so no major deal. But not sure if it's going to close up where we need it to at this stage, mate. We'll see.
I haven't had a look at Forex Factory, and I just want to keep everything closed at the moment because I'm on this.
Yeah, I'll do that, mate. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
I don't think there's anything happening today, is there? And the week's pretty quiet as well.
It is. Do you know what? The most interesting headline I read earlier on was that the UK home sales hit a record after lockdown, and that's from Rightmove. Yeah, because there was some
bargain buying, bargain hunters.
There was some bargain. Yeah. Oh, hold on a second here.
Because the market would have had to have taken a hit, surely.
Yes, it was. Yeah, sorry, mate. No, there was a policy where we had a stamp duty holiday, or we do have a stamp duty holiday currently going on.
Okay.
So I think because of that particular policy, there just seems to be a bit of confidence out there with the UK housing market right now.
Dudes jump in. Yep.
Yeah, the cashed up dudes jump in. Well, no, not even actually. No, I mean you can still get your loans, but it just means that you don't have to pay the stamp duty on your purchases. So yeah, anybody that was maybe thinking of moving and is just a little bit worried about the cost of it, the cost has just been taken away from them a little bit. So that's a pretty good thing.
It makes economic sense because it keeps the dollars ticking over.
That's right. Now, sorry, mate, go on.
No, I get it. That's all I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Those of you that are in the US show, where we have been talking about stocks. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks ago, we traded I was suggesting a trade in Sanofi. We're talking about GlaxoSmithKline versus Sanofi as the two companies that have joined forces to get a deal done. A vaccine done. And I plumped for Sanofi over the two of them. Now, I've just read a headline here that Sanofi snags another US biotech asset with 3.7 million deal for Principia Biopharma. So that may well give us a bit of a boost in our Sanofi shares. So, if you guys manage to get into that and you took that trade, then we do have the prospect of having a pretty good share there. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but that looks pretty good. So Sanofi doing a decent deal. I liked that one over the two, but that may well continue to push itself to the upside if that deal is going to be a huge positive. I'd have to read into it a little bit more, but it looks like we might have picked out a pretty good share there. Okay, so Forex Factory. Right. Right, you guys all right with these numbers? I mean, it's probably a bit late now anyway, but hopefully you're okay with these numbers. I mean, you can see the trade there live in the market regardless. So I'm going to take those away because otherwise it's going to print all over our Forex Factory. Now, where are you, Forex Factory? Where have you gone? Oh, there you are. Interesting. So we're talking about Rightmove, but HPI's month over month from Rightmove. So the house price index is suggesting that actually houses have slightly dropped down month over month on Rightmove. So we'd have to look at what that would have done to some of those home builders and whether it makes any difference to those home builders. We can have a look at that in the later show, and we'll also have a look at Rightmove as a potential buying opportunity. If the sector looks okay, then Rightmove looks to be the better option, and it should be really, because if house prices are going up, then as a general rule, people are going to be looking on websites that are popular for buying houses, and that would suggest that that Rightmove will probably float up. Now, if house prices go down, then Rightmove probably won't be something that gets affected as much as the home builders, Persimmon and Taylor Wimpey and people like that. So it's probably, if we're looking for a bullish price action in the housing market in the near future, Rightmove I would have thought would have been a decent opportunity to buy a stock rather than looking at the home builders, because then you're getting quite specific. So we can look at that later. Preliminary GDP index, terrible numbers from Japan in comparison to the forecast. So dip like worse than expected, but better than previous. Now, preliminary GDP, absolutely atrocious. So there is some potential weakness from that particular side of the globe, which isn't particularly good. Let's just watch this trade and see if we
no surprise there, because the first one is year on year, the second one's quarter on quarter. So
yeah, that's right, mate. That's right. Just seeing. I'm just going to quickly go to this trade, because what I don't want is to not grab what's on offer here. Let's just see if it reacts badly to this area and see if we have to take the trade off. Yeah, might need to take that trade off. So going to take profit on this one. Give it another couple of seconds, maybe. Oh, no, it's okay. Go on a little bit further. You know you can do it.
Get up there.
Get up there. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, so
well done,
quick smash and grab. Yeah, I mean it's worth taking, isn't it? If that's what we got on offer for the day, and
absolutely.
Not a bad risk to reward ratio either. And it might go a bit further, but if it does, then maybe we can get into it again later. But you can see, mate, look at that yellow folders right across the board here. So not too much out there when it comes down to anything hugely positive. What do we have here? Nothing on Tuesday either. So that doesn't suggest that we're going to get anything huge going on there. Nothing on Wednesday. FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. Well, it looks like a pretty choppy week, mate.
Yeah, it does.
Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. Now, we need to watch out for this, because the ISMs have been very, very positive recently. And I wonder whether that might give us just a bit of an indication of what's coming. Unemployment claims, very, very important. The US managed to dip under 1 million for the first time in some period. So does that continue the trend? That will be healthy probably for the market. And then we have a slew of data on Friday. It looks like Friday is our day of volatility with French PMIs and some Euro PMIs as well. So important numbers for Europe, and retail sales as well from the UK. So that is given a yellow folder, but we should really give that a bit more credit than the Forex Factory have as an important gauge of how the consumer is bearing, and the consumer's bearing up. Flash PMIs from the UK as well. Pretty light on US data, mate, but we see some European data coming in on Friday. So could be a choppy week up until that particular point.
Right, mate. I've got a couple of questions to answer if you're done for the minute.
Yep, sure thing.
Awesome. Well done. Got us off to a good start for the week. The question, Emmanuel, on Kiwi yen. Yes, I do have an opinion on Kiwi yen. Absolutely, I do. I will go to this screen. And I'm on the daily chart. I think that's the one you were talking about. And it's pretty clear to me. Two things are clear to me. We've got a big double top sitting here on the daily chart. Let's go a little bit wider. And this is the other thing that's very clear to me. We've come to the top of our descending channel. Big rejection of that. That's a massive bar for me. And on a weekly chart, that's eminently tradable. even if the monthly pivot's sitting there, you've got to take profit there, but that would have been the way to go. Now, there is another thing that's clear to me. We've got a range here that we've been sitting in for the last, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. You can even extend that back to here, 6 or 7 weeks, really, at the end of the day. And we're at the bottom of that range, which is a former support and resistance area. Support off the bottom of the channel is interesting. So I can totally see a bounce here, maybe even back to the top of our rectangle, which is there. And again, pretty clear to me. That's probably a better angle to look at, actually. But I also see the potential for this to go short. Again, going back to the bigger picture and that beautiful rejection bar that we saw off the top, this bar here. So maybe even to pull back to the top of the range again and then short. That's what I see. So short term, let's go to the top of the range. If we get the signal, if we break here and retest, then different story. But if we do come back up to here, maybe hit the daily pivot or the weekly pivot and give us a higher low, then I'd look to trade it to the top. But as soon as we get to there, I'd be switching allegiances and looking to play this bar here, because we'd be back to there pretty much. And I think that would be the way to go. And again, great reward here if you can get a good risk reward trade on the short. So it's long to get short on Kiwi yen for me. Sorry, I did lose a few of these questions because I'm on my phone on one computer screen and I'm on a Wi-Fi connection on another, just to spread the bandwidth about a bit so I can actually get through this show for the next 2 weeks, because I'm here for 2 weeks. Breakfast vodka, excellent, Dennis. And as a matter of fact, you wouldn't believe it. My wife pulled a bottle of vodka out of the freezer this morning and had it on the bench, and I said, interesting breakfast. Wow, you must have cameras in my place. Dennis, you were talking, sorry, Crystal, maybe you were talking about the FTSE trade, vaccines, pay your home loan, head and shoulders daily and weekly pivot down. I'm not sure, Crystal. I think you're talking about the FTSE, but I could be wrong. Aussie dollar, daily wave rider, Aussie dollar. Sorry, you're talking about daily wave rider from last week. Aussie, okay, good. USA radio show start the 1st. Yes, it does start today, Dennis, absolutely. Pound yen or Swissy yen from Shukri. It was Swissy yen. I think I'm up to date. If I'm not, guys, just please remember that you can re-put it in the chat box. Sorry, I did lose some questions because I got disconnected on this computer. And again, Alan, I'm sorry for the confusion and my humble apologies. Dollar yen M30. Oh, Crystal, you want me to look at a dollar? I've just got the SH12s with the dollar. And if there's one in particular that I've got the SH12s with, it's probably dollar yen. But let's have a look at it. Why not? On the 30-minute chart. Okay. Well, I thought this was rallying. Let me go a bit wider for a second. Yeah, it was. High, high, low, high, high, looking for a higher low here. And we're at a support level and former resistance level. Ooh. That's kind of what I see straight away. So I'm probably looking for a bounce here off the weekly pivot long. And is there a setup? And of course, you know I'm biased short on this. Most definitely biased short on this. But, okay, that's interesting. Hmm. Look, I'm not going to trade this because I just don't trust the dollar at the moment. But I'm sure you can see what I can see, and it's a break and retest of not only the trade line but the weekly pivot. So there's a potential short under there. Now, if you're a non-contrarian trader, or if you're a normal person, I'll put it that way. If you're a normal person, you're probably seeing that bullish bar, bullish engulfing bar, kind of, and thinking this is going long. And I would absolutely have to say that I would agree with that, except it's not the way I trade. But that doesn't mean a thing, right? The way I trade is if this doesn't go long, then it's going short. So I'm not guessing whether it's going long or short. I'm saying if it doesn't go long, it goes short. So that's why I have the opinion that I have. That's, to me, a setup. The interesting part is that this bar didn't close below the weekly pivot, which is kind of giving you the indication that it's hit this support level. And I can totally get with that. And it makes perfect sense what I'm saying and what maybe you're seeing. And you've got a nice rejection of the weekly pivot there, and you're in a bullish trend. So, if you're a trend trader, you probably got to trade this long, I would imagine, at this point. And there's an untested daily pivot. But again, I say to you, that is not the way I trade. If that was a black bar, then maybe I'd be interested in going long, but it's not. So very much the way I trade is cause and effect. And I'll repeat, if the most likely thing to happen here from a trader's or retail trader's point of view, I'll put it that way, is that people will see that bar as a bullish engulfing bar and a bounce off the weekly pivot, and they'll place long orders here. And I totally get it, and it makes perfect sense. And all I'm saying is, if they're wrong and it doesn't go up to here, then really there's only one thing that can happen. And that is come back here. And the answer, Crystal, to your question is yes, absolutely. It could bounce and go up to here. And I would expect that most retail traders would be jumping on this as soon as it does go above this bar. And that may well drive it to the daily pivot. So there is absolutely potentially a trade there, but it's not for me. And that's all I'm saying. It's just not the way I trade. If I have a setup here, then absolutely, but I don't. But does it make sense from a logistics or technical point of view? Of course it does. It makes perfect sense that this bounces here and goes to there. Not a setup for me, that's all. But I'll bet you've got some mates that are thinking exactly the same thing, and a whole lot of them. Absolutely. So good luck with it. Perfectly understandable and reasonable trade to take, I would have thought. Yeah, it's not really a double cross because the double cross has to work like this. You have to have and that's what I said before, you've got to have a close on either side of the pivot. So in this case, you would have to have the close of this bar down here somewhere. And then you would have to have the next bar close above it. So one below close, one above close. That constitutes a double cross for me. Not stopping on the pivot. To me, it's more likely to bounce here without question. Tonight, Big O is on. When's Big O on? When's Big O on, Ash? I've completely forgotten. I think he's Tuesday, isn't he?
No, isn't he? There was talk about a show before ours at 1 o'clock. So maybe that's what's been referred to. I mean, we.
Ah, yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, Orlando is doing a show of his own. That's right. It'll be 8 p.m. Singapore, Hong Kong. Yes. And we follow that at 8:30, as I understand it, with a preview of or the beginning of US session, but let's put it that way. And then we start the US session at 9 o'clock. Yes, got it. Sorry, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Yes, that's right. Yep, that's it. The Big O. Love the Big O. He's full of energy.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
All right, I'm done, mate. That's pretty much me.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
The pound's doing us any favors. In fact, no, the pound's not. It might be good that I put the stop loss down here. Maybe we do get a bounce off the weekly pivot, but certainly following the normal rules, you'd be out of that trade now for a loss today. And that's why you've got to be trading it at small. If you're trading it at all, you've just got to put pennies on this because we're testing it, nothing else. So, mate, a good start to the week. Well done. And hopefully there'll be something more a little bit later in the day.
Great stuff. Okay, well, we'll be back obviously at 1:30, so 1:30 UK. So we'll be back in 4 hours 20 minutes ish. Yeah, we'll see if we can get something else in the market. It looks pretty jumpy, but a bit rangy at the same time. So I'm not sure whether the opportunities are going to be thick and fast, but we'll see what happens later.
Wow, good on you, Shukri. 10 times, 10x. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good start of the week, I'd have to say. Right, mate, nice. Did you say the magic words?
Oh, no, I didn't. Yes. Yeah. So for the rest of you that aren't in the US show, we'll be back tomorrow at 5 to 8.
That's the date. Do not be late.